Luis, let's start with you. And you're the author of the original short story that it's based on. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to write the story and then to go ahead and make this film?
Yeah, so my short film for Nana Anna is about a trans woman and her relationship with her Italian grandmother. And basically the way that they like see each other and are kind of going through mirrored experiences as, the grandmother is coming into a place where she's losing her sense of self and losing her agency. Her granddaughter is finally starting to like see what she likes in the mirror. She's finally starting to feel like confident in herself. And so what you have are these two women kind of having mirrored experiences. And to me, it was important to tell a story about a trans woman that wasn't about, transition, that wasn't about the mechanics of transitioning. It wasn't about the trauma. It was really about like her relationship with a family member. And so in something you said last night, I approached it wanting to explore that world a little bit more and expanding on those relationships. And so it's about a trans woman and her relationship with her immediate family, her mom, her dad, her sister, while on vacation. And it's not about like, again, trauma. It's not about like coming out. All those conversations have been had. We're really starting in the middle. We're really starting with acceptance and kind of going into like the nitty gritty of what it is to be a millennial, kind of moving through this world as someone who is trans, but like not all her problems in the film are because she's trans.
Got it. Julia, talk a little bit about why you wanted to get involved as an executive producer on the film.
Well, I was sent the film by a mutual friend of ours, and I just immediately fell in love with it. Similarly, I was on a set in the middle of glam to walk on a runway, and I was just like, everyone, shut up. Like, I was like so into the movie, and it just really like drew me in. And it's one of those movies that just like touches your heart in a way. And I feel like the experience of having these kinds of very layered and uncomfortable relationships with your family is such a universal experience. Everyone can kind of relate to that. Family brings out the best in us and the worst in us. They kind of mirror all of our shit. Like it's I don't know. I watched it and I was just like immediately taken by Ren and Luis's work. I feel like just on a technical level too, the film is just done so beautifully. The more I watch it, the more I'm just kind of in awe. And it kind of reminded me of like a Sofia Coppola's early work or something. And I love Sofia Coppola. That was actually my introduction into movies, was Sofia Coppola. So there was this kind of nostalgic sense as I was watching it. It's just a very powerful story, and really so much does happen throughout the film. We open and Ren is just so shut off and disconnected, and she's rejecting her mother's love. And then at the end of the film we see this kind of olive branch. She kind of lets her mother take her by the hand, and I kind of loved the full circle aspect of the movie too, where so much happened in a glimpse.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the great things about the film is just the ordinariness of her life. And the kind, I think so many times with stories about trans people, there it's a little bit sensationalized, and the
Absolutely. And I found it very, very refreshing that it wasn't a story about like trans trauma, even though that is a very real thing. It's just that a lot of the time when we, see these kinds of stories in the media, it's often just it's like trauma porn, and it's exploitative in my opinion. I think we need more stories like this that show trans people in their families, in their day-to-day life, just about love and family and how that kind of transcends everything. Sexual orientation and whatever it might be, like love will triumph And I feel like that this is why these kinds of stories are so important. And obviously, like, I want to hop on that bandwagon because I think this is the right side to be on, you know?
Absolutely.
The stories are not just exploitative. I would say they're also boring. Like they're just like so been there, done that. Like we have so many other stories to tell and so many other narratives to like explore. And I think cinema is really important as just like a tool and as like a reflection of like what you can be and what you want to be. And if you don't have those like those reflections like reflected back at you, then you could have a hard time kind of like self-actualizing who you want to be. But to have a story about a girl just being loved by her family, it means that like there'll be other families and hopefully other girls that will see themselves in that and be like, oh, this could be a reality for me.
I read that Carmen, who plays Ren in the film, had never acted before, which I found very interesting. Talk a little bit about casting her and how that process worked working with an actor who had never acted.
Yeah, I mean, Carmen, yeah, she never acted before. She came into the room. She had the scene. I didn't give her any context about the scene. I didn't give her any context about the film, but she just knocked it out of the park. She just like really understood right from the jump, like the power of silence and all the things that were being left unsaid between the scene was between her brother and her. And she just understood all the nuances and the things like left unsaid, the things unwritten on the page. And that's something you can't really train someone to understand. They just get it or they don't, and she just got it. She really understood the power of silence. She really understands, I think it comes across in her performance from start to finish, just like this sense of like knowing herself and like this unshakable idea of who she is and what she wants in life. I mean, to me, her character out of all the characters in the film is someone who is very certain in who they are. They're very certain in what they want. Her challenge is kind of moving through a world that isn't certain of who she is, but that's all coming from the external. It's not coming from the internal. And she is that person through and through.
Yeah. For both of you, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you hope the audience takes away from the film at the end, the experience that you hope that they go through or feeling that they get at the end of it.
I mean,
Well,
no, go Julia.
No, you go first. You go first.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I hope they come away feeling a little bit sun-kissed and a little bit like they've been on vacation for a week with their family and they're coming away with both like on a high, but also kind of annoyed maybe at the same time. And I hope the feeling that permeates is that I have to call my mom when I get out of this movie.
Oh, I love that.
Julia?
And for me, I guess it would just be, I think, especially in America, I will say that there is just such, there has been kind of this movement, this anti-trans movement brewing over here, and it's very, it's honestly horrific. And I hope that, if these people who have been fed these ideas of what being trans is could watch a movie like this and be like, oh my God, they're just like me, And I think that is so powerful. And that would be a huge achievement, because ultimately cinema is supposed to bring people together. So if we could use this film to kind of bridge that gap and answer some questions for a lot of people, that would be really a huge triumph, in my opinion.
Thanks for watching the You Interview channel. With over 3,000 original celebrity videos, we have one of the largest collections of celebrity interviews anywhere. So remember to like and comment on our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get more involved, you can become a member of the channel. Membership has its perks. You can see exclusive celebrity videos and get the opportunity to ask our celebrity guests questions. We can't wait to hear from you.